What was it like it for you from moving away from home and moving to a new city and not having many friends?
Yeah, so I lived at home until I was 20, which was great, but moved from central Minnesota to where we're at now, Fargo, about 2.5 hours away. And I knew one person here when I moved up. So there was some challenges there. I'm a pretty extroverted person, but it did take me some time to find a group of friends. So there was a period of time where I felt like, I don't know if lonely would be quite the right word, because I had a lot of people around me. I was living on campus at college, Minnesota State University, Moorhead. But it felt like I was floating a little bit, because back where I'd grown up, I had some really close friends, a really solid group of Christian believers who I was spent a lot of time with, probably 3 to 4 nights a week. We were hanging out, doing stuff every weekend. So it was almost like I was having to build from the ground up a whole new community of people, which was challenging and took a decent amount of time to do that. I'd say probably 6 to 8 months before I really felt like, okay, I now have roots in this new place. Yeah.
Wow. And I assume, college is starting pretty soon here.
Yep.
High school is starting pretty soon. School is just starting for all of us pretty soon.
Yeah.
Not for us, but for most of y'all.
That's right. Not for us. We're too cool for school.
For most of y'all that listen to the podcast, and some of you are probably moving to a new state, or some of you are probably moving to going to a new school,
new city, new town, whatever,
far away from home. And you're like, all right, what should I do? Like, I don't want to feel like I'm going to be alone for a whole year. I don't want to feel like I'm going to be alone for 4 years. I want to make memories. I want to make experiences at the campus. I want to make friends. I want to grow in my faith. If that's you, this episode's for you.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, this will be maybe a little bit more of a structured format than oftentimes we do, because we want to give you some practical tips for what to do if you're moving to a new city, new town, new campus, whatever, and you need to make new friends. So we're going to break it down for you, some good tips. And before we get into some practical tips, I wanted to lay out a couple things to begin with, sort of foundational things. Number one, pray. Start out with prayer.
How many of us do something and do something big and not invite the Lord into it? Invite the Lord into this. Is this the right school for me? Is this the right campus for me? Is this the right house for me? Is this the right job for me? Is this the right city? Ask the Lord that. Yeah. Invite him into it. Pray through it. Ask people to pray for you and let people speak into this.
Yeah.
Make sure you have godly community. If you have godly community at home or your church, it's like, okay, here's what I want to do. Here's the desire that I have, but I want to be the Lord's will. Invite him into it.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to pray specifically for friends, too, because you're moving to a new place. God created us for community, for friendship. Ask God for that. It's actually one of the things that really changed my wife's life before we had even met. She had been living a couple different places, had been at a different college, and was in just not a great group of people. There was alcohol, drugs, all kind of involved in that. And that was a part of the group of people that she was a part of. She knew that wasn't the life she wanted to be living. So when she decided to move from where she was to the Fargo Moorhead area and go to MSUM, which is where I was going, that's where we met, she prayed, all right, God, just give me some friends who are good people who are going to help me get on the right track in life. And she's told me multiple times over the years, it was amazing how God answered that prayer above and beyond how she could have even imagined. And that was even without us getting married. Yeah. Now we've been married for over 12 years. So pray. If you're moving to a new city, hopefully you're praying about the stuff that Lucas is talking about. If you're not, pray for that stuff, but also pray for something that seems as small as God, provide me with some really good friends in this new place I'm moving to.
Just talk to the Lord. There's no secret code or nothing like that. Just ask him, and ask him for friends, like you said, and which your probably wife has found, though, not everyone was, God delivered beyond that, but the beauty of that was she asked, she went to the Lord, and he tells us to ask him for things.
So start with prayer. The second one is start with the church. If you're moving to a new city and you want to meet new people and you're a follower of Jesus, start by getting connected at a local church.
That is important. I think the best community, I'm not saying the perfect people at all.
Yes.
No. No one is perfect. But I'm saying the best community is within a church, a body of believers. Yes, there's a building aspect of it, but the building is not the church. The church is the body of believers. So
Yeah. And we'll say more about that in just a minute.
Yeah.
Starter number 3 is start with an open heart. I think, like for me, having come from a group of really close friends back where I grew up, like I said, we would hang out probably 3 or 4 nights a week. We were doing all sorts of stuff together. It was important for me in moving to Fargo to have a little bit more open picture. Instead of saying like, I want people who are like the people I just left, I need to say, all right, God, I'm moving to a new place. I want to be open. Maybe the people that I'm going to be close friends with are going to be dramatically different than the people I was close friends with there. Or maybe they're going to be dramatically different than I am. It's easy to bring those preconceived notions of here's what a good friend looks like.
Yeah.
And then that can prevent you from getting to know people who could be really close with you.
I feel like when we do that, though, when we forget about all the time that we've spent with this other friend back home. And when in the beginning, you probably felt the same way that you're going to feel about other people when you come into a new town, just so, take it easy and just like, don't assume anything and just like get to know someone. And, what I've found, like the more different they are, I think those relationships are beautiful.
Yep.
And they don't have to be exactly like you. But the most important thing is you have to be like-minded, that they're following the Lord too. You need people that are going to push you to him and glorify him with you. So,
yeah. And the 4th startup reminder. So we got pray, start with prayer, start with the church, start with an open heart. And then the 4th one you kind of alluded to there is start with realistic expectations. Yeah. Maybe you're going to bump into someone and become instant best friends. Most likely, it's going to take several months for you to put down roots and feel like, wow, I now have a friend group here. And I think it's important to be realistic about that. Is 6 to 12 months is probably what it's going to take you to feel like I'm beginning to develop a community here. Maybe longer.
Yeah. And if it's sooner, great.
Yes.
Praise him, but your identity is not in your friends. Your identity is not in the school. Your identity is not in this town. Your identity is in Christ. Remind yourself that and ask him to guide you through this, So, don't be hard on yourself. But just keep going first. Like we always say, keep pursuing that and keep letting people in and ask him to guide you as you do that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so those are 4 kind of like big picture things. Start with those things. Now we're going to jump into 10 practical, specific tips for you if you're moving. And these are going to be broken down chronologically. So we're going to give you a few things to do before you move, a few things to do within the first couple weeks that you're there, and then a few more things to do within the first couple months that you're in this new place. So number 1, ask your friends and ask your family if they have connections in the place you're moving to. I think that's a great place to start.
Yep. I agree with you on that one. Starting there is always important. And if they don't, that's okay. But we live, how many people I've met someone, even across the country or across the state, it's like, oh, I know your cousin. I know, it's like, what? How do you know him? It's like, but start there is important. So.
Yeah, I mean, when I moved to Fargo, I knew one guy. We had maybe kind of had a similar group of friends back in Fargo. We had crossed paths a couple times. We ended up becoming really close friends, starting a ministry here that reached a whole bunch of college students. And it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been like, oh, I've got this like nominal passing connection with this guy because he had, he liked downhill skiing, I like downhill skiing, and we occasionally crossed paths as a result of that. So ask your current friends and family if they have connections in that place. Yeah. Number 2 is look online. So there's a bunch of stuff that you can find on the internet, whether it be, local events, or you can find Facebook groups, chats. Like if you're a college student, many campuses will have, you name it, all sorts of social media opportunities where you can connect with conversationally and hear about things that are taking place in the place that you're moving to, even before you get there.
Yeah, and join leagues or join a volleyball league, join a basketball league, so like just join leagues. That helps too. So
Yeah, and you can do that research before you move to find out what are the things that are happening. Like if you're, say you love volleyball, check out most likely your college campus. If you're on a college campus, they're probably going to have intramural sports that you can jump in on and find out about that ahead of time.
Yep.
Another online research thing is look into churches. Like we said, start with the church. Don't wait till you hit the ground in the new city you're moving to. Look into those churches. Check out the website. Learn what you
beliefs, can. Check out what, like where they're at, how close to you. Like just check out the church. And that is destination. I mean, some of these college students, don't have a car there with them. You know.
Yeah.
So that matters.
Yes.
So yeah, do the research of the churches before you go.
Yeah. When I moved up here, I actually went so far. It's 2.5 hours away from where I was living, so it's not super far. I drove over here twice. Once to tour the college, and another time I came for a weekend and like stayed overnight one night to check out some churches in the area. So I not only did the online research, I also came and did some in-person research because
you're crazy.
I was like, I want to have a church that I know I'm going to when I show up in the fall.
Wow, a lot of people don't do that. When I say you're crazy, like that's awesome. That's not like you're crazy.
I'll give us one more for before you move. You can I'll recommend this softly, but there's dating apps out there like Bumble that have friends mode. And I've actually had some people I know who have moved to new cities, and they were already on the dating apps because they were trying to meet someone in the new place. They were in a romantic sense, but they also were looking for friends. And particularly one gal who was living with us, she did that for a while and met a couple really great friends on there. So there's pitfalls, there's pros and cons to say about any kind of app like that, but that's another avenue where you can begin to make connections in a new place before you get there.
We should talk about dating app one of the episodes. I don't know if that's going to be helpful, but yeah,
I've never used them because
Yeah.
I was married before dating apps were a thing.
I have a lot to say about dating apps, but
With all your experience on dating apps,
no, not the biggest fan. But hey, I didn't know they were making a friend side of things. So too, that's pretty. Cool.
I know Bumble has that. I think a couple of the other apps out there have. You can say I'm just looking for just friends.
Yeah.
Obviously, that can be abused. So use wisdom.
Be careful.
But
with that.
Yeah, but what the key point of all those is like work ahead of time. Even before you get there, you can begin the process of working towards making friends.
Preparation can help you with ease of mind.
Yes.
And you can lean on to like, okay, here's what me prepping for moving to a different state. It's like, I just want to, when I get there, I don't want to worry about, okay, where's the churches? I don't want to worry about how many leagues are out there. I don't want to worry about, what opportunities should I like? No, just like know that before you get. You're moving into a new environment, and there's going to be enough pressure there, and there's going to be enough like you're leaving your family, so it's like it's going to be hard on you just on that, and also like ease your mind a little bit by just preparing yourself.
Yeah. So once you hit the ground there, introduce yourself to your neighbors. Whether you're on a college campus, if you're living on campus, meet the people who are in the dorms with you. If you're moving into a house, meet your neighbors. Get to know them.
You know how many welcome signs are around my neighborhood, and how many of us ever go into their houses? How many of them invite people over? Like, that's one thing that when we moved into this place, I was like, you know what? I'm going to invite my neighbors for dinner. Whether they say yes or no, it doesn't matter to me. And some have came, and it was a cool experience. It was cool getting to know them. So like, if you're gonna have a welcome sign, or if you're not, just invite people to your house for a meal. So
when we moved into the house that we're in, we did a reverse welcome, not a party, but we made cookies and brought them around. We live in a cul-de-sac currently, and brought them around to each house in our neighborhood and said, "Hey, we're new to the neighborhood. Just wanted to introduce ourselves. Here's some cookies." So introduce yourself. You don't have to become best friends with your neighbors, but who knows? You might hit it off with someone.
We have a neighbor, and her grass is beautiful, like the best grass in the neighborhood, hands down.
Are you a 40-year-old man right now?
No, like when we moved to this place, it's like we're gonna take care of our grass, But her grass is just—I'm not kidding you—it's like perfect, like better than a golf course. And I was walking Moose, and she was working on
which
her grass.
which is his dog. Just to be clear, he wasn't actually walking a moose.
No, my dog Moose. And I stopped by. I was like, I just want to throw this out there. I know I shouldn't be jealous, but I'm jealous of your grass, and I think your grass looks amazing. And she just started dying. She's like, and we just had a cool conversation after that. I was like, how long have you guys lived here? And got to know her just a little bit. She has her daughter there, and she has a son. And it's like, that was really cool. You know, it's like, I just went first to go talk to her because I was jealous of her grass, basically. So more likely, like,
talk to your neighbors about their grass.
Yeah, if you want, that's a start there. Or what I'm saying is like, just go first. Whether they're busy or not, just like go first. So many of us like to be in our own houses and not be hospitable. What is that the right word?
Hospitable. Yeah.
Towards people. So
people also don't like to be in the hospital.
Yeah, that too. So, and man, just go first by whatever that looks like, by saying hi, by waving, by picking up something for someone, or by just being helpful, whatever that looks like go first. So.
Yeah. So this next one, Lucas was laughing at me for putting it on here, but visit your local library.
I don't know about that.
The local library, man, it's, I'd say, one of the major underutilized resources. If you can get there, more often than not, every local library is going to have a ton of events that they're hosting.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a bulletin board that has a ton of like community events. So if you want to find out about things that are going on in the city, that's a great place to start.
Yeah. The reason why I was laughing, though, you got to tell the people, it's like, is that what I think how we should do this, or not what Ben thinks? We want to be helpful to everyone. So this could be helpful to you, you know, and it could not be helpful to you. That's why I was like, you would never see me at a library. Yeah. You'll never see me there, you know, but for some of you, you love that. And that's cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's just another avenue to find out what's going on. I mean, even there's some friends of mine who recently moved from Minnesota to Illinois with the goal of planting a church. And they just started going to the library that was within, I think, a couple miles of their house. He's really into board games. He found out they had a board game night once a week. So he started going to that, and their family's made some really good friends there. They've had people from that gaming group over for dinner. And they continue to build relationships there. And it's free. So free is great. Next, like we've already said multiple times, check out a local church. You did your research before moving. Check out those local churches. And don't feel like, I think it's important, don't feel like you have to go to the church and stay at the very first church that you go to. It's totally fine if you're in a new place to go check out a couple different churches, prayerfully saying, all right, God, where do you want me to get connected?
Yep.
But be intentional about prioritizing doing that.
And once you find that church, ask if they have, where you're looking for a church. Ask if they have membership classes.
Yeah. And
go to the membership class and become a member. And when you become a member, I assume they also have life groups. If they have membership classes, they're going to have life groups. You know, join maybe a life group or a community group. I think they're the same thing, but join a life group or community group. I've seen people, like, I hear this all the time, you know. How'd you guys meet? Our church had a community group, or our church had a life group. So we decided to go to that. And now we're pretty cool friends. So, yeah.
Yeah. And a key thing there, I think, is go beyond just showing up on Sunday morning for a couple hours. Get invested in the community.
Yeah. Serve your church. Mm-hmm. I think going to church, the Western American culture, it's like, you know, you go to church and you just consume what the pastor's saying. I think the way we can kind of turn that around a little bit is when you're plugged in, serve.
Yeah.
Whether you're in the front doors, whether you're making coffee, whether you're a worship singer, whatever that looks like, man, like serve the church, serve the body. Whether that's leading a Bible study group for the church, like serve. But don't do that to be noticed. Don't do that to seem like you're a perfect Christian. No. Do not do that to idolize that. Do it to glorify Him. And I've done that sometimes, and I've done too much. And I'm tired. I don't want to do this. Right? So like, get plugged in. I would say serve the church. That's when we say get plugged in, serve the church too.
Yeah, and that transitions pretty well into kind of the next segment of time, right? We talked about your first 4 weeks there. Now, within your first 4 months, man, you should be ideally, you know, there's going to be exceptions to this, but ideally you should be plugged in, committed to a local church. You've found the places that you're going to serve, and both another thing that you can do is find other places to volunteer in the community.
Yep.
You know, the church is a great place to start, but there's also tons of needs and opportunities to serve in a community, and you're going to make friends with people when you're working alongside them.
Yeah. And you grow so much in the characteristics of Christ as you serve his people. Christ is always near the brokenhearted. Christ is always near people that are hurting or people that are confused, people that are lost. Like, go where he is, stop being comfortable, and serve people well.
Yeah. Yeah. Then the final two, one I'll just mention is, man, you can find a local club or group to join in. If you love running, see if there's a local running club.
Yeah.
If you like board games, go to the local board game shop and find out if they host board game nights there. Find something that you're interested in. Find a group that's doing that and join that. That's going to be a great jumpstart to making friends.
If you love CrossFit, trust me, there's a
Join a
gym.
CrossFit gym. Yeah.
Man, I mean, I think one thing about CrossFit though, like, I'm not hating on CrossFit, but a lot of people like hating on CrossFit, and I don't do CrossFit, so trust me, I can't even do that. But the cool thing that they have is their community.
Yes.
Like how they're all running around in circles and they're just supporting each other, cheering each other on, and like that they're like, man, they show up at the same time, and they're all there to like, it's amazing. I think the coolest community is in CrossFit, you know.
Yeah,
so shout out to
job.
you guys. Keep it up. So.
And then last one, man. Once I think this is just a general kind of statement of here's something that you should be doing. Once you've made a connection with someone, follow up, take the next step. Don't just leave it sitting at like, oh, now we met each other, we had a nice conversation. If you enjoyed a conversation with someone at church, or if you were at the running club and you hit it off with someone, take it to the next level. Say, man, you know, I enjoyed that conversation. We should get coffee sometime. Or let's meet for breakfast before work or something like that. Be intentional about initiating, taking the relationship to the next step. Move it from this casual acquaintance into something that actually becomes a friendship.
Yeah.
Don't just wait for that to happen.
Yeah. Never wait. And go deep first, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If that means telling them your story, if that means telling them your testimony, if that means letting them in, and if that means, hey, I'm just struggling with this, you know, and something that you're wrestling with, just like go deep, you know. If you want to get to that deep friendship, you have to go deep first, though, too. And don't feel like you have to have it kind of figure out what to say, how to say it. And I always say, just start with your testimony. Tell people your story and show them who the hero is. And the hero is Jesus for all of us, right, in our stories. So when we say go deep, start there. So.
Yeah. Well, Lucas, do you want to close us by praying for anyone who's listening or watching who's moving to a new city, wants to make new friends?
Yes. Lord, you're with us. You're always with us. Lord, I just pray for this person that is moving to a new city, to a new school, to a new job, to a new house, whatever that looks like for them, Lord, whatever that season looks like for them, Lord. I just ask you to be with them. I ask you to give them your peace. And I pray that they just turn to you and remind them that the truth of your word, Lord, I just pray that they grow with you. And Lord, I pray for community. I pray for friends, like-minded friends. I pray for a healthy church for this person. And Lord, I just ask you to guide them. And may we all just glorify you, Lord. And Lord, I thank you for choosing us. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
We love you, friends. Go first. And we'll see you next
See
week.
you next time.
Peace. Hey, friend. Thanks for listening. We're all about equipping you to pursue real friendships. You were not created to be alone, because life is just better with real friends. Let's get started.